Thanks for joining me on episode 798 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
Hey there, I'm Cassidy Cash, the host of That Shakespeare Life. If you'd like to impact the world one day like Shakespeare, one way to do that is listening to this. It's Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my friend, Scott Mater.
Now, maybe you're not an outdoor person. Maybe you are somebody that doesn't enjoy being outdoors, but I would encourage you, if that's true for you, find the thing that is your way of recharging and make sure that you're putting that time on the calendar and you're actually committing to doing it.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's episode about investing in yourself by stewarding your time, I talk with you about setting aside time for being outside. I share why this is important even in times like this, and I also talk about how you can find some of this time even if you don't think you have any to do it.
As we talk about stewarding your time, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without just taking too long? Turns out you can't. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show just that quick. If you enjoy the show when you are ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon.
Even though I live in South Texas where it's relatively warm, I'm reminded in wintertime about how important it is to find and set aside time for being outside, for being in nature. The truth is that this pandemic has caused many people to change the way they act, to change the way they do things. And I'm not here to say that that's right or that's wrong. I think everyone is doing the best they can and making the best decisions they can. I know in my case, I'm one of these people that is considered at risk. So I've had to be very careful about where I go and how I spend my time and whether or not I'm going out and these sorts of things. But even still, it's been important to me to find ways to spend time outside, time in nature, time out doing a walk, doing exercise, just sitting outside and enjoying the outdoors during the day, especially when it's warmer. And the truth is that is something that it sometimes seems like it's unimportant. It seems like we can do everything we want to do inside on technology, with our devices, with our computers, with Zoom, whatever it is. But the truth is that I think it's even more important now to find ways to spend time outside, recharging your batteries, getting back in touch with nature. And the truth is that I think a lot of times this is one of the first areas that we neglect. I know it is for me. My wife and I have a goal to be doing walking more this year. And right now we've been struggling keeping up with it. And even though I have a treadmill and can walk indoors and these sorts of things, and that's helpful, the truth is I still miss getting outside and actually just going for a walk around the neighborhood, greeting the neighborhood dogs, waving at neighbors on their porch. These sorts of things are important for my mental and physical well-being. And in times like this, I have to recognize that by neglecting this, I'm neglecting my self-care. I'm neglecting the needs that I have. And I think it's important that we all recognize this. But the truth is, I'm very busy right now. This is normally for my business one of the busiest times of the year as a coach, when people often during the beginning of the year, they want to get things reset. And so it's a good time for me, and it's an important time for me for business. And then there's other things and other demands on my time with family and other things as well that are just as important. And so it's easy to sacrifice that time outside. But the truth is, you can find some time, even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes in the morning or in the afternoon. Even if it's just standing out on your porch or on a balcony, if you've got an apartment, or maybe just even taking a drive down to the local city park and sitting and having your lunch there instead of in your office or at your desk. It doesn't mean that you have to spend a 4.5-hour afternoon walking to be able to spend some time outside. You can carve out a small amount. And what's more, you can actually use that time in other ways as well. You can, quote, multitask a little bit. Simply in terms of the fact that what you can do is, for instance, I listen to podcasts. That's one of those times that I actually consume content. Or I turn on a learning app of some sort. For me, it's B&I Business Builder, but it may be a different thing for you. And I engage in learning some new content when I'm out and about. And so even though I'm recharging my batteries and enjoying some time with nature, and don't worry, I turn the device off and enjoy some time in the sunset and in the sun as well, I use at least some of that time to actually feed my mind as well as my body. And what I find is when I do this, when I'm more dedicated about doing this, it actually helps me be more productive and get more done because it helps my mindset as well. Now, maybe you're not an outdoor person. Maybe you are somebody that doesn't enjoy being outdoors, but I would encourage you, if that's true for you, find the thing that is your way of recharging and make sure that you're putting that time on the calendar and you're actually committing to doing it so that you can find those ways to bring your energy levels back up, especially when things are crazy like they have been for the last over a year now. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips, and that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.